Good morning, everyone. So today we will be discussing about statistics of paramagnetism. Will be explained by canonical ensemble theory, and we will be addressing here by classical theory, or we will be addressing today. It's about quantum mechanical treatment of paramagnetism. In the last class, we have treated as a classical mechanical explanation by considering the susceptibility is proportional to inversely proportional to the temperature representation that we derived using what canonical ensemble theory. Okay, so where we have identified the magnetic moment, mean magnetic moment, and we also addressed the magnetic moment along z direction, and we finally find it out the susceptibility. It is a ratio of magnetization with respect to magnetic field we obtained as say susceptibility is proportional, inversely proportional to the temperature representation. And today we will be treating statistics of paramagnetism by a quantum mechanical treatment. Okay, so in classical theory, what we have assumed is that we are considered there is n number of atoms per unit volume, which having a in a paramagnetic gas there is n number of atoms per unit volume with a permanent magnetic moment mu. That magnetic moment is originating by circulating electrons present in the atom. Okay, that's why it having a permanent magnetic moment. Okay, so this magnetic moment of atom which are freely rotating, and it can possess any orientation with respect to the magnetic field. So that was the consideration of classical theory explanation. Now it comes to quantum theory. When it comes to quantum theory, the important change is that the magnetic moments are quantized in this case. Okay, and it's component of mu z, and you explain mu z is a component magnetic moment component along z direction. In the direction of magnetic cannot have a arbitrary value. So it does not have a single value, it does not possess a single arbitrary value. It can vary with respect to what? It can vary with respect to the angular momentum J. So J is the total angular momentum or quantum number. So with respect to J, so this mu Z, that is magnetic moment along Z direction, can change. Okay, so here magnetic moment along Z direction, it is actually representing the magnetic field that is applied along Z direction. So the magnetic moment aligned to that particular field is represented mu Z in that case. So okay, so let me come back to the discussion. So when you consider classical theory, so what we have done is that, so the when you explain about classical theory, so the main we have considered that we have considered a paramagnetic gas. Okay, so we have considered paramagnetic gas which have n atoms per volume. Okay, so which is possessing what? Which is possessing a permanent magnetic moment. Okay, so this magnetic moment is arising by circulating electrons. Okay, circulating electrons present in the atom, and which is rotating freely and can possess any orientation with respect to applied field. Okay, so that was the consideration we obtained for a classical theory explanation side. Okay, when it comes to quantum mechanical treatment, what is the difference is that, so here the magnetic moment, basically the magnetic moment mu, magnetic moment mu is quantized in this case. Okay, which is quantized. And the second one is that in this consideration, the magnetic moment mu has some component along z direction. Okay, So mu z is the magnetic moment along z direction. So it's a component of mu. Basically, it is a component of magnetic moment. Okay. So its magnetic component mu z in the direction of magnetic field. Okay. Mu z in the direction of magnetic field. So you are applying magnetic field along z direction basically. So the mu z is the corresponding magnetic moment arised due to this application of magnetic field. And in this case, the mu z in the direction of magnetic field cannot have a arbitrary value. Okay, so it does not possess a specific value corresponding to mu z. It will vary with respect to what? It is vary with respect to the total angular momentum j. Okay, so it is related to this mu z is related to what? It is related with the angular momentum j, total angular momentum j. Okay, so that is a total quantum number. So whenever you represent in this case, our mu will be, so basically the magnetic moment mu will be is equal to minus g mu b j. Okay, so this is our equation number 1. Okay, so the total magnetic momentum will be equal to minus g mu b j, where mu b, we know what is mu b. Mu b is Bohr magnetron. Okay, and Bohr magnetron is equal to what? Which is equal to, we know that it is E h cross by 2m. Okay, this will be in the case of SI unit. In SI unit, that is E h cross by 2m. So when you consider in CGS, E h cross by 2m C will be there in CGS unit. Okay, so where G is what? G is, I said, it is Landau G factor. Okay, and normally G, you can calculate G equal to what? G equal to 1 plus J into, okay, G is equal to 1 plus J into J plus 1 plus S into S plus 1 minus L into L plus 1 divided by 2J into J plus 1, where J is the total angular momentum, S is spin angular momentum, L is orbital angular momentum. Okay, so which I can write it as S is our spin quantum number. Okay, spin quantum number, and L is our orbital quantum number of the dipole. Okay, orbital quantum number of the dipole. And now if you evaluate the mu z corresponding to that, the value of mu z can have possible component of mu along field direction, and which is given by mu z will be equal to minus g mu b m j. Okay, so this is your corresponding representation that you will be obtaining for this one. Okay, where mj is what? Mj is the value of j, that is minus j plus 1 etc. j minus 1 j. So mj can take the value from minus j to plus j basically. Okay, so we can say that it is basically it is range from what? Minus j to plus j. Okay, so it is a magnetic quantum number associated with j, where mj is the magnetic quantum number, okay, quantum number associated with J. Okay, so now what we can say is that for each value of J, for each value of the quantum number J, Mj can have 2J plus 1 value. Okay, so if Mj can have 2J plus 1 value, okay, for corresponding to each J, this Mj can have 2J plus 1 number of values. Okay, if Mj have 2J plus 1 values, then mu also have what? Mu also have 2J plus 1 values corresponding to rotation of relative field. Okay, and the potential energy of such of the magnetic dipole in presence of magnetic field B. Okay, if you consider the potential energy of the magnetic dipole in the presence of magnetic field B is given by, okay, the potential energy of such magnetic dipole in the presence of magnetic field E equal to what? The energy E will be equal to mj g mu b, where B is what? B is the magnetic field, and this is a representation of what? This is the same like the representation we have done for the classical mechanical case as well, that is mu B. What is mu here? Mu, we know that mu equal to what? Mu equal to minus G mu B J. Okay, and the same way we will be getting the energy will be equal to what? Mj G mu B, where B is the magnetic field, mu B is Bohr magnetron, G is Landau G factor, and we will have Mj is the magnetic quantum number associated with the J. Okay, so with this brief introduction to the quantum theory, so basically quantum theory of paramagnetism is saying is that the magnetic moment is quantized, and the magnetic moment value along z direction, that is along the applied field direction, which cannot have an arbitrary value, that it does not possess single value, it having a different value with respect to the angular momentum, the mu z value will be varying. That's why we represented mu minus G mu B J, we are representing mu z equal to what? Mu z equal to minus mu B mj. So with respect to different value of mj, the value of mu z will vary. Okay, so that's why it does not possess an arbitrary value in this case. Okay, so that is a basic idea of the quantum theory of paramagnetism. Now we'll come to the exact discussion what that we need to proceed. That is about the discussion by a canonical ensemble theory. How do we execute and how do we find the susceptibility and the temperature relation corresponding to quantum theory of or quantum mechanical treatment of paramagnetism. Okay, so we got the corresponding representation here. Now we'll discuss the same with the canonical ensemble theory. Before coming to that, by classical theory, what we have explained, by classical theory of paramagnetism, okay, theory of paramagnetism, okay, so in that case what we obtained that chi is equal to what? C by T, where C is Curie's constant, T is the temperature, and the susceptibility is inversely proportional to temperature, and Curie's constant value also we obtained in the last class. And here I said that the mu z value, this both value will be what? This is not have a arbitrary value. This is vary with respect to, so it does not possess an arbitrary value. It vary possess with respect to what? With respect to the j value corresponding to that. And I can say that mu equal to what? Mu equal to, in simply I can say that g equal to mu b j. Okay, and now I can say that what is mu here? Mu, and mu b equal to what? Mu b is Bohr magnetron, I already said. Bohr magnetron means E h cross by 2m. Okay, now if I do represent this in this fashion, like in CGS unit, if I represent, that is E h cross by 2mc will be there. Okay, and we do represent mu b, we got it like this. Okay, and I can also represent the above representation, that is L equal to, L is the orbital quantum number, L equal to root j into j plus 1 into h cross, that is L. Okay, this can be either you can keep it as small l or capital L. Okay, and j can take the value from 0, 1 by 2, okay, 1, 3 by 2, like etc., like different values can take. Okay, and mu b equal to what? We already said, it is E h cross by 2 mc and or E h cross by 2m. This is in SI unit and this is in CGS unit. Okay, and if I do represent this one, instead of small capital L, let me just represent as small l, so that it will be more convenient to understand. So L equal to root j into j plus 1 cross. Okay, and if you simply, if you represent E by 2mc, E by 2mc is there, which is called gyromagnetic ratio. Okay, so these things will be understanding when you discuss about magnetism in your solid state physics anyway. So this is gyromagnetic ratio, E by 2mc. Okay, so let me do represent in this fashion, that is I can say that mu equal to this way also, that is g into E by 2mc into L. Okay, now we know that is what is L is, so that is g equal to g E by 2mc into L is what? J into j plus 1 root h cross L will be there. Okay, so when you write like this, what you will be getting? G equal to E h cross by 2mc. Okay, E h cross by 2mc into root j into j plus 1. Okay, so this is, we know that this is what? Bohr magnetron. So mu equal to, I can write it as mu equal to g into mu b root j into j plus 1. Okay, so I can write like this. And now what I do is that, let me just take the square of this one, so that I can represent mu square is equal to g square mu b square. Okay, root j and j plus 1 will be j into j plus 1. Okay, like it come into case, then we can say that simply what we basically will be getting, mu square is equal to g square into mu b square j into j plus 1. Okay, this is what we are getting initially. Now let me come to the case for mu z. Okay, so this is the case we obtained for mu square. And now if I evaluate the magnetic moment along z direction, where we are the applied field direction is along z direction, so g equal to again 2e by 2mc, let me just take it as, okay, into I am taking orbital quantum number along z direction, so that is Lz. Okay, so what is Lz? Lz is equal to basically mjh. Okay, mjh cross. Okay, so what is mj? I already said mj is minus j to plus j value. So that is, it will be having 2j plus 1 values corresponding to mj. Okay, so let me introduce you that here, that is E divided by 2mc. Lz I can substitute as mj h cross. Okay, so that if I do, what I will be getting is that I will be getting correspondingly g e h cross by 2mc. Okay, mj will be there, and mu z equal to, then I can write mu z is equal to E h cross by 2mc means Bohr magnetron, that is g mu b mj. Okay, g mu b mj will be obtaining for this case. Okay, so this is how you will be getting the above two representation. Okay, similar representation we already initially has been discussed. There was a minus also there. So how that minus coming? So that is minus coming because of the electrons present over there. Okay, so let me just come to the energy case. Okay, now I need to evaluate the energy associated with that. So once you get the energy, you can actually find it out the corresponding partition function. So energy will be minus mu z h. Okay, so when you apply a magnetic field h, where h is the magnetic field. Okay, so h is the magnetic field you are applying over here. So minus mu z dot h will give you the energy, the associated magnetic field energy will be, you will be obtaining from here. So that is minus mu z h. So when you apply a magnetic field of h along z direction, so you will be having a magnetic moment mu z corresponding to that. So once you substitute that, that is mu z already we know, so that is g mu b mj h. This is a actually dot product, right? So there's a, this we can substitute as cos theta. Okay, so this dot product I can replace by cos theta, so that's why I can write like this. And now if I consider theta equal to 0, at that time cos theta will be equal to 1. Okay, cos theta equal to 1. So if you substitute that, then we can say that energy E will be equal to minus g mu b mj h. Okay, so this is your energy notation corresponding to this case. Okay, so once you get the energy, it is easy to find the partition function. Okay, so here we have to find the q1 of beta. So that is equal to sigma m equal to minus j2 plus j. Okay, so mj should be have the value minus j2 plus j. So into, for partition function to be represented, it is a summation of the all the energy state, right? So we can write it as, it is mj to minus j to j e raised to minus beta e. Okay, and now we know what is E is already we identified. Then if you substitute mj equal to minus j2 plus j e raised to minus beta e. So if you substitute here, E is a, E we already know minus j mu b mj h. So this minus and minus get be positive. Then we'll obtain beta equal to what? We'll get beta g mu b mj h will be there. Okay, so this will be your partition function you will be obtaining here. Okay, so this is your partition function that is obtaining for this case. And now once you get the partition function, let me just introduce you that, let me give a substitution here, that is x is equal to beta g mu b beta mu b mjh. If I substitute x is equal to beta, okay, so let me just put like this, x is equal to beta mg mu b jh. Okay, I am introducing actually j. So what I am doing here is that, so I am just multiplying and dividing by j here. Okay, I am just multiplying and dividing by j basically. So that's why x is equal to beta g mu b j h I can substitute. Then my q1 of beta, that is the partition function, will be look like, that is sigma mj equal to minus j2 plus j. Okay, e raised to mx, that is mjx divided by j. So that's why I just multiplied and divided here. Okay, so when you do that, you will be having e raised to minus mj, e raised to mj x divided by j notation will be there. Okay, so this is the general notation of the partition function we are obtaining here. Okay, so once you get this one, it is easy to go forward, because when you find, this is actually what, this is a summation of exponential e raised to mjx by j. Okay, so if you expand this exponential part in a series form, then you can say that q1 of beta, that is the partition function, is equal to e raised to minus jx by j plus e raised to minus j plus 1 x by j plus e raised to minus j plus 2. Okay, here also the bracket is not here. Raised to minus, okay, j plus 2 x by j plus etc. like this come. How it comes? Because mj equal to what? Mj means it is minus j plus 1 minus j plus 2 etc. j will be there, minus j2 plus j will be there. Okay, so that's why we just substituted mj values corresponding to that. Then you can seriously expand this one in this fashion. So once you do that, so this is in the form, I can say that, so minus j by j. So when you evaluate, you will be getting q1 of beta minus j by j e raised to minus x plus this, I can write it as, this one I can write it as e raised to minus x into e raised to x by j. Okay, like in this fashion, and plus e raised to minus x e raised to 2x by j. So if you just separate it out, okay, then you'll be getting like this, and I can write it as q1 of beta is equal to e raised to minus x. If I take it outside, I will have 1 plus e raised to x by j plus e raised to 2x by j plus etc. like this series will continue. Okay, so this is a geometric progression series. Okay, it is a geometrical progression series. Okay, so in that case, if you take a equal to 1 and which having the form a equal to 1, so a equal to 1 over here, and r equal to e raised to x by j, and n values, the number of total number of possible values will be n equal to 2j plus 1. And now I can say that a into r raised to n minus 1 divided by r minus 1 will be the corresponding representation in order to find the total summation of that series. Okay, this value, the summation of this value will be equivalent to a r raised to n minus 1 divided by r minus 1. So if you represent the above one in that fashion, q1 of beta I can represent as e raised to minus x into, okay, e raised to minus x into, here a value is what, a equal to 1 here, so 1 into e raised to x by j raised to n. So n is what, n is 2j plus 1 minus 1 divided by e raised to x by j minus 1. Okay, now once you get this one, so if you evaluate in order to further, if you want to proceed this one, so what we do here is that in order to solve this section, e raised to minus x into e raised to x by j 2j plus 1 minus 1 divided by e raised to x by j minus 1. Okay, so in order to solve this, I am just doing a multiplying and divided by e raised to x by 2j and e raised to minus x by 2j, multiply and divided with that, and I can solve it out this one. So that is e raised to minus x by 2j into 2j plus 1 divided by e raised to minus x by 2j into e raised to x by j 2j plus 1 minus 1 divided by e raised to x by j minus 1. So in this form I can solve it out. Now once you take the other one inside, so if you multiply the this to the inside, what you will be obtaining is that you will be obtaining e raised to x by 2j into 2j plus 1, okay, minus e raised to minus x by 2j into 2j plus 1, okay. I can put it as divided by 2 on this one, and divided by, we'll have e raised to x by 2j minus e raised to minus x by 2j, okay, divided by 2 I can write as, okay. Simply for the sake of convenience we represent it like this, because we know that e raised to minus x, e raised to x minus e raised to minus x by 2, we have a relation that is sin hx, okay. So we can write in that fashion. For that I have introduced a 1 by 2 on denominator and numerator as well. So when I do so, I can write q1 of beta, I can write it as sin h x by 2j into 2j plus 1 divided by sin h x by 2j. So like you will be getting q1 by beta. So you got q1 by beta. So further if I want to reduce this one, so I will be getting q1 of beta is equal to sin h x by 2j. If you multiply, you will be getting 1 plus 1 by 2j into x divided by sin h 1 by 2j into x, okay. Further if you proceed with in this fashion, we will be getting, this is our partition function representation, okay. So this is our partition function we will be obtaining here. And now we need to know, like we have done for the case of classical theory of magnetism case. So we have to find the mean magnetic moment here. So mean magnetic moment, which is equal to, I will be getting as mz. Mz is equal to n by beta dou by dou h, where h is the magnetic field, of what, ln q1 of beta. Okay, so if you take this one, you will be getting the magnetic moment, mean magnetic moment associated with this one. Okay, how do we get this one? We are getting mz equal to what, n is equal to n expectation value of mu cos theta. If you do, you will be getting this representation basically. Okay, that I am not doing anywhere. So because we already know that in the above representation, what is x? X is equal to beta g mu b j h. So this was a substitution we have given to x. Okay, so when you evaluate that, so you will be getting mz will be equal to n by beta dou by dou h of ln q1 of beta. Sorry. So mz equal to n by beta dou by dou h. Okay, now I can substitute the q1 of beta in the equation. So ln of q1 beta is what it was, sin h1 plus 1 by 2 j x divided by sin h 1 by 2j x. Okay, this is n by beta representation. And now if I say n by beta is n by beta dou by dou h. Okay, this I can write like this, that is ln sin h 1 plus 1 by 2 j x minus, okay, ln sin h 1 by 2 j x. Okay, now if you take the derivative of dou by h with respect to that, what you will be obtaining is that you are gonna get so you will be getting n by beta. If you take the derivative, we will be getting cos h 1 plus 1 by 2 j x divided by sin h 1 plus 1 by 2 j into x into, we'll have 1 plus 1 by 2 j on the other side, and beta mu b g j. Because what is our x? X, we know that x is equal to beta mu b g j h. Okay, so when you are evaluating this one, you have to, with respect to x, you have to evaluate, because x containing the term of h. Okay, so this is minus, okay, this is the first term we'll be having, minus. Now we have to take the derivative of dou by dou h of ln sin h 1 by 2 j x. Okay, so for that, when you do that, what you will be obtaining is that this part will be having minus cos h 1 by 2 j x divided by sin h 1 by 2 j x into 1 by 2 j into beta mu b g j. Okay, this is how we will be getting. Okay, Now if you take the beta outside from this bracket, we will have a n by beta outside. So this beta will get cancelled by taking outside the beta from the two terms we have represented here. Okay, now if you violate further, we'll have n into this we can represent as 1 plus 1 by 2j into mu b g j cot h into 1 plus 1 by 2j x, that is so cos h 1 plus 2j. Okay, we'll be getting like that, and minus next term will be mu b g j divided by 2j cot h 1 by 2j x will be there. Okay, so this is how you will be getting the corresponding representation. Okay, now when you further proceed this one, what you will be finally you will be getting is that your mz, the main magnetic moment mz, is equal to what? In both the term we have mu b g j is there, so that if you take n mu b g j into mu b g j into 1 plus 1 by 2 j cot h into 1 plus 1 by 2 j x minus 1 by 2 j cot h 1 by 2 j x. Okay, this is very important equation, and this equation we call it as Brillouin function. Okay, Brillouin function of bj of x. Okay, so this is a very important equation when you consider for the magnetism discussion. So this is very important to understand. So where x we already know, x is mu beta mu b g j h. Okay, and now what we consider bj of x will be, so this is what the Brillouin function of that. And if x is very less than 1, you know that x is equal to what? X is equal to beta mu b g j h. Okay, it is greater than 1, so in that case this bj of x will be approximately equal to 1. Okay, when x is very less than 1, then that time bj of x will be approximately equal to 1 by 3 of 1 plus 1 by j x. Okay, so that is when you consider mz, in that case will be equal to n g mu b j. Okay, n g mu b j bj of x. So what was our bj of x function? So our bj of x what is equal to basically this part of the function. Okay, this part of the function we call it as Brillouin function of bj of x. So this is we call it as bj of x. Earlier we have considered Langevin function. Hope you remember in classical theory we have considered Langevin function, and here we consider Brillouin function of bj of x. In this term we call it as bj of x. Okay, bj of x corresponding to that, which is bj of x means Brillouin function of j, where j is the orbital quantum number corresponding to that. Okay, now let me just represent. So the mean magnetic moment is a multiplication of what, where n is the number of particle, g is the Landau-G factor, mu b is broad magnetron, j is the total quantum number j, bj of is the Brillouin function. So simply if I write mz is equal to what, mz is equal to n into g into mu b j b j of x. Okay, so this is what we are getting here. And now let me evaluate this equation further. So that is x is equal to what, x is equal to beta g mu b j h. So that was our substitution towards x. Okay, and now what is beta? Beta we know that is 1 by kt, where k is the Boltzmann constant, t is the temperature. Then x I can represent as g mu b j h divided by kt, I can notate. Okay, and where t already we know that t is the temperature. So let me just considering this one, let me just evaluate the above problem with case 1 here. So the case 1 is we have a strong magnetic field. Okay, strong magnetic field H. Okay, and the temperature T is low. Okay, so that is our first case here. Okay, so by considering that case, what we will be obtaining, that when we have a temperature is very low, so whether the T is very low, and that time x will be very high, because this under strong field the magnetic field will be very high value, which is having high value, and temperature having low value, means x will possess the value, it will be always greater than, very greater than 1. In that time we know that bj of x, the Brillouin function, at that time will be equivalent to what, it is equivalent to 1 when x is very greater than 1. So in that time we can say that the mz, the mean magnetic moment, will be equal to what, it is equal to ng mu b j, because bj of x is equal to 1. Okay, so we can say like that. Okay, so that is it for case 1 case under strong magnetic field and the temperature is low. And now the next case is that, so under case 2 we will be evaluating, we have a weak magnetic field. Okay, we have a weak magnetic field and the temperature is high here. Okay, the temperature T is high. Okay, so in that case we can say that x will be less than 1, x value will be comparably less than 1. Okay, and at that situation we know that bj of x, the Brillouin function, is equivalent to what, at that time Brillouin function will be equivalent to 1 by 3 into 1 plus 1 by j into x. I already said that. Okay, so this I can either write like this, that is 1 by 3j into 1 plus jx. Okay, so if you just multiply j plus 1 divided by j will be there, that is 1 by 3j 1 plus j x, I can write like this. Okay, so in this condition, the mz will be equal to, our mean magnetic moment will be equal to, the general equation is like that, ng mu b j into b j of x, that is the general equation we have by using Brillouin function. And in that case if you substitute bj of x here, so that is ng mu bj of x is what. Okay, hope you should understand that this ng is where g is actually a Landau-G factor. Okay, it is not the subscript value of n, so that you have to understand. And now if I say that bj of x under weak magnetic field, So under weak magnetic field and temperature is high, in that case Bj of x will be having the value 1 by 3j into j plus 1x. So if I substitute that, 1 by 3j into j plus 1x will be the corresponding value of Bj of x. Okay, now if I evaluate this one, this j and j get cancelled, we'll have n g mu b. Okay, n g mu b, j and j get cancelled, then we'll have ng mu b will be equal to ng mu b j plus 1 divided by 3. Okay, and x we already know, x is what? X is mu b g j h divided by, if you substitute beta equal to 1 by kt, then it is kt, like this will come. Okay, and now at this stage what we are obtaining is that, if you closely watch, what we are getting is that mz is equal to ng. Okay, there are 2g over here, that is ng square. There are 2 mu b over there, that is mu b square. Okay, into j plus 1 into j, that is j into j plus 1. Okay, into the magnetic field H will be there, divided by 3 kt. So this is your magnetic moment when you represent or explain the paramagnetism by quantum mechanical treatment. Okay, so you got the magnetic moment over here. So what we exactly we need to identify that, we need to identify the susceptibility. So by using partition function we are able to find the magnetic moment representation. Mz is equal to ng square mu b square j into j plus 1 h divided by 3 kt. Okay, so that is k, or this one I can represent like kb. Okay, so that is kb is what? It is Boltzmann's constant. Okay, Boltzmann's constant. Okay, so there are many times I have represented as k. So where k is actually representing the Boltzmann constant, you should not confuse with that. Okay, and what I supposed to get is that mz equal to ng square mu b square j into j plus 1 h divided by 3 n kBt, where n is the n number of the atom and g is the Landau G factor, mu b is the Bohr magnetron, j is the magnetic quantum number or the total angular momentum value, h is the magnetic field you are applied, and kb is the Boltzmann constant, T is the temperature in this representation. Okay, this representation is very important once you understand magnetism property. So once if you want to measure the magnetization or the magnetic moment associated with any particle, so if you got the total angular momentum, then you can easily find it out the magnetic moment as well. Okay, and now let me just come back to our important discussion, that is, once you get the mean magnetic moment, then next stage is in order to identify the susceptibility. Okay, so we need to identify the relationship between the susceptibility and the temperature. Then you can say that the explanation of paramagnetism representation here. Okay, so chi is equal to susceptibility, chi equal to, like we have represented in the last class, it is limit h tends to 0 mz divided by h, basically we need to take. So once you do that, when you substitute mz, ng square mu b square j into j plus 1 h divided by 3 kBt. Okay, 3 kBt divided by h will be there. Okay, your limit will be there. Okay, limit h tends to 0, and here h and h get cancelled. Okay, so what will be remaining is that chi equal to n g square mu b square, okay, mu b square j into j plus 1 divided by 3 kBt. So this is your susceptibility for you will be obtaining by quantum mechanical treatment of paramagnetism. Okay, so here also if you evaluate the relationship between susceptibility and temperature, you could observe that chi is proportional to 1 by T in this case. Okay, and if you represent in the Curie wise law, that is C by T, chi is equal to C by T. So here C equal to what? C equal to Ng square mu B square J into J plus 1 divided by 3K is your Curie's constant. What is this one? This is our Curie's constant. Okay, so by using this formula one can identify the Curie constant. If you identify the J value, that is the total angular momentum value, and this I could represent this K is what is Boltzmann constant here. And what was our observation in the case of classical theory explanation? Okay, so this is represented as what we are obtaining here is that, so this is a quantum theory of magnetism. Okay, this is our quantum theory explanation. And classical theory, what we obtained, the Curie constant. By classical theory, Curie constant C equal to what we obtained as N0 mu square divided by 3K. Okay, 3 kb, let me just, kb is the Boltzmann constant. Okay, so this is how the explanation of paramagnetism by quantum mechanical treatment and classical mechanical treatment. So here this notation what we obtain here is that it is the quantum mechanical representation of susceptibility. Okay, this is the quantum mechanical paramagnetic susceptibility we obtain here. Okay, because it has an involvement of, if you look into the susceptibility value here, it has an involvement of what? It has a main involvement of J. Okay, it has a main involvement of J. Angular momentum has a dependency. So that's why initially we said that the magnetic momentum does not possess an arbitrary value. It will vary with respect to the value of J. Okay, with that case, if we further evaluate, we are getting susceptibility also as a clear-cut dependency on the angular momentum of the system. So then only you can identify the paramagnetic susceptibility by using quantum theory of explanation. Okay, so it has a larger dependency on this total quantum number or total angular momentum value J. Okay, so that is the most important intake from this one. So here the energy state will be quantized for a case of quantum mechanical treatment. And classical theory we obtained that the Curie constant has a different notation, that is N0 mu square by 3 kb is the corresponding notation that we will be obtained for classical theory. Okay, so here you can compare by the representation of Curie constant by classical and quantum theory notation. In both cases what we obtained is that the susceptibility is inversely proportional to temperature. Okay, and the proportionality you can actually replace by a constant which is called Curie's constant, and the Curie's constant obtained in two cases as a two different notation, and for quantum mechanical case it has highly depends on the J value, the total angular momentum representation. Okay, so this is a discussion about the statistic of paramagnetism, which is explained by canonical ensemble theory by considering the quantum mechanical and classical mechanical treatment of paramagnetism. Okay, so that's all about the discussion of the paramagnetism side explained by canonical ensemble theory. With that discussion, canonical ensemble part will be come to an end. On the next class we will be discussing about grand canonical ensemble, because we have said that there are three type of ensembles are there: microcanonical, canonical, then grand canonical ensemble. So we have discussed already about microcanonical and canonical ensemble cases. Now on the next class onwards we will be discussing about grand canonical ensemble. What is grand canonical ensemble and their examples and their applications will be discussed on next class onwards. Okay, thank you for listening.